Welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and McLean. We are going to hop on here in the middle of Mac's insane schedule and try to do a little NFL draft recap. Mac, with your appearance, you're either really excited for today's episode and you just wanted to look good, or you're in Bristol.
It's because I want to look good. I always like to dress up, for you. And this isn't a rowback tie, but if they made it, I would wear it. But you look great in yours. And no, I'm in Bristol. This is a crazy little deal here, especially post draft, to be kind of here. A lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. It's a pretty big deal for our company. But so I was in Dallas for the UFL, doing that whole song and dance, and then from Dallas flew to Connecticut here, and we're just keep on keeping on. So Khaki, I love you. I miss you. Amelia, please behave for your mother. I will be home soon.
And the airplane forces tried to keep you from Bristol, but we won't get into that, Mac.
I could talk for hours.
Well, okay, you speak about people in the buzz about the NFL draft. I would say there wasn't enough buzz overall about the first overall pick. And so we will talk about it. So 42 ACC players selected in the NFL draft, of course, very much highlighted by the number one overall pick in, people are calling him Cameron Ward. So I will do that. The legal name, as he's now professional, picked number one overall by the Tennessee Titans. Massive deal. I mean, of course, people thought, throughout the draft process, it might be Shedeur Sanders. He drops big time. But I'm thinking back, Mac, when we had EJ Manuel on, this was maybe early February. I'm thinking. I'd have to go back and watch it. We were talking about the combine. And he goes, guys, Cam's going number one. Yeah. And it was not a consensus at that point. EJ absolutely called it. And we talked about it at length, why he should go number one. But Mac, I think we need to get into it because some people kind of seem to just not really want to get into the fact that this guy went number one overall.
Right. It is so bizarre. And I do love that you point that out. And, shout out to EJ for making that proclamation because there was whispers,
like 2 months ago.
Yeah. You thought that he would go top five for sure. But that was the first time I had heard somebody definitively say Cam Ward's going to go number one to the Tennessee Titans. And that's because of, maybe a little inside information, but definitely the understanding of a new head coach and a new place wanting his guy, wanting his quarterback. And who did you feel was the best one to do that? Clearly, by the sliding of all quarterbacks, that was Cam Ward, who went number one overall. Then we had a big gap before, we saw another one go. So, that was really interesting for me, just kind of thinking about, okay, there's a lot of pressure with that. There's a lot of understanding. You're getting a lot of money, $43 million guaranteed. Boom, there it is. And these different things. And you're excited for him because Cam is such a great leader. I mean, we talked with Mario Cristobal. We've talked with Xavier Restrepo. We talked to Cam during the season, all his teammates, Jalen Rivers, all these guys, just about how great of a leader he was and I don't know, he just had this command about him, this alpha dog mentality of, I will not be denied. I'm going to put in the work. And you have to have that, being the quarterback of a team, but certainly being the number one pick. And he brings a lot of excitement to the table. He's got some great weapons there in Tennessee. You got a young coach who's very excited, has worked with some great quarterbacks. And then you supplementally, in the draft, made some really good pieces. Alec Aomanor there going and seeing Xavier Restrepo sign, which is shocking to me that he wasn't signing as a free agent.
The 40 time, I guess, really was an issue.
I know. And, so that's going to be fantastic. But Cam is the real deal. Very excited for Nashville. Very excited to see what he's going to be able to do with the Titans.
Well, and it's obvious that, in every draft they're important. EJ talked to us about this, but the interview process was very important. And I think Cam Ward interviewed very well. I mean, I saw the video going viral where Shedeur was kind of trying to get him to do a TikTok dance or something when they were working out together. Right. And he's like, I play football.
Yeah.
That's what I do. And I think that's so attractive, for better or worse. I'm not saying you can't be a TikTok star and be a great quarterback, but it's so attractive to teams because Cam Ward looks like he is singularly focused on being the best quarterback he can be. And that is number one. Like he doesn't care about the fluff. Yeah, he had some moments at Miami, where he was like doing this and fighting the crowd and stuff. But that's because he's in the moment. I mean, you could tell just how locked in he is
Right.
on playing quarterback for a long time in the
Yeah,
NFL.
and it's, since we're, kind of comparing it, and you've brought it up a couple of times, there's just extra baggage, with
Yeah.
other guys and Shadur, um, specifically that it is what it is. I still think that he has great ability. I never thought that he was a top five guy, maybe not even a first round guy, but I'm not a quarterback evaluator. Who cares what you kind of think there, but definitely didn't think that slide. I thought that
No,
was
that was
crazy.
crazy.
Uh, but there's a lot that comes with it, and as you said, there's not a lot that comes with Cam outside of what you get on the field, in the film room, and as a leader of your team, and that is attractive to people, I think, nowadays. And just hearing his mindset, and he's an older guy too, right? Like, this
Yeah.
isn't a true junior. This is a guy that's been around the block, been to 3 different schools, worked his way up marginally each time, and continued to dominate and get better every level he went up, having Miami's best season in years, decades, at a place like that, and handling that spotlight, handling the NIL deals, all the different things, the pressure of being, the quarterback in Miami. And he aced all those tests. So
Hmm.
that's why I think it was one of those things where you're just excited to see what he can do and excited what he's going to be, at this new team.
Absolutely. I did see, I don't know who exactly it was, but they were lamenting how if Miami had any semblance of a defense this past season, that they
I
would have
think that
had.
was Nick Saban who
Oh,
said,
was it Nick
yeah,
Saban?
said
Oh,
if they had a defense, they would have or been in or
yeah.
won the
I
national
was not trying to
championship.
throw shade. I
Yeah,
truly forgot who said it. Nick Saban, pretty good source there.
that's what he
Okay,
said.
let's talk about the other first round pick here in Omari Hampton, going 22nd overall to the LA Chargers. I saw some different reports from the Chargers saying that this was a unanimous pick, that this was the guy they had on their board for where they were, and
Yeah.
there was nothing that was debatable about getting him. We have all talked about how he's going to be a great pro. And Mac, of course, you always go back to seeing him on campus the very first day and be like, "Who
Yeah.
is that dude?"
Yeah.
But that was cool to see Omari Hampton go in the first round.
Yeah, he's a freaky player, and really, I was a little shocked that he went, as far down as he did. I
Mm.
thought maybe the Cowboys or some others in front of him, might take him. But there was obviously a ton of hype that was building the last 2 weeks, last week and a half about, obviously, kind of when you see the way that it panned out, and Ashton Genty being the top guy and where he went. I mean, he's the second highest paid running back in the league because
That's
of where he was drafted.
crazy.
Crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Wow.
But I think this is good because of the offense, because of the system, and because of the coach and the mentality of that
Yeah.
team for Omari and Hampton. This guy's going to get burned, probably be the starter immediately, if not be a heavy, heavy dose of this offense. They want to run the ball. They want to be a ground and pound team. And a guy of his size, his nature, he is a big, big dude, and has shown year after year that he can handle that. It is a great fit, and I absolutely love that for Omari and Hampton.
Yeah, and you go to a pretty good team, established
Right.
quarterback.
Great quarterback,
Yeah,
playoff contender. I mean, all the things.
that's a good situation for him. All right, Mac. I don't think any of us had this happening. The third quarterback off the board, Tyler Shuck,
Yeah,
going to the Saints. Louisville QB, of course, had a pretty darn good year for Louisville. Louisville had their moments. They beat Clemson. They, did some good things. Also had some interesting moments, right? But I think there was so much buzz building for him throughout the draft process. He's old. He's like 25. He's married. He's obviously going to be kind of like Cam Ward and very, very focused. And then it gets very interesting with New Orleans because we're not sure what's going on with the Saints and Derek Carr with the
right.
shoulder injury. So does Shuck have a legit chance to fight Spencer Rattler
Sure.
for a starting job? Like, this is
Right.
what a crazy development for him.
Yeah, it really is. And, I think, the timing of it probably, I don't know if I thought he would go in the second or not, where he did be the third quarterback. Certainly not, actually, just to be quite frank. But there was a ton of buzz. And
Yeah.
everybody that's kind of been in this business was very impressed with Tyler Shuck and the things that he provides, for the offense. I think probably the attractive thing is through his years and through his transitions to teams, he's had to learn new, very pro style offenses and has done that at a high level. So he's a guy that I think is ready now. He's going to get in the playbook. He's going to understand whether he becomes a starter or if he's a backup for 15 years. He's going to have a great quarterback career and maybe one day coach whatever he wants to do. But that was amazing. And I think it just goes to show, you look at these places like Miami, you look at these places like Louisville, quarterback that maybe needs a little bit more, these are really good places that can help you do that. And subsequently, what do? Miami reloads with Carson Beck. Louisville reloads with Miller Moss. Two guys that want more, for their NFL status. And here they go. Let's see if they can kind of follow in these guys' footsteps.
You read my mind, Mac. That's what I was going to say about Louisville and Miami. This, I think, is huge for them to see. I mean, Tyler Shuck, like, if he had come out last year out of Texas Tech, right? Not even going to Louisville, he wouldn't have been drafted. Like, probably not. So, massive win for Louisville there. And of course for him. And yeah, really good situation with the Saints. Who knows? We could be seeing him starting games for one of the NFL's like premier franchises. Yeah. Really happy for this guy who we had on the podcast. Big fan of him, Donovan Ezaraku, drafted 44th overall to the Cowboys. Was reading some good stuff here about the Cowboys were like, he's available.
He's still here
at 44. Okay. Like some people thought he might sneak into the first round, it just depended. But I think he ends up in a really good situation. And yeah, go listen to our episode with him because he is just fantastic, Mac.
No, he really is. And, this is something I was juiced up about. Funny enough, I just mentioned I was in Dallas. So I shot him a text of the stadium. My hotel was right next to it. And I just said, hey, man, beat you here. Excited for you. All these different things that you're going to do. But yeah, I was shocked that he fell to where he did, but a great situation. America's team, and a great, opportunity defensively to be an instant, kind of addition and guy that will play right away. And, you just look at guys that you cheer for and are excited for, and just he fits all of that. And really impressive to see. And that's a lot of these guys in this second round. The ACC went on a run. That really started with Tyler, as we first mentioned there. But Elijah Arroyo, I didn't know if he could go that high. I'm happy he did. To the Seattle Seahawks, a tremendous player, very versatile. Line him out wide, put him at the slot, put him at three back, true tight end in the backfield. He can do a lot of great things for you there. Anthony Belton, big guy. Did not expect to see him in the second. We had two tackles almost back-to-back, a pick in between with Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College as well. So two really big mainstays. These guys have been extremely good, at their respective schools for a handful of years now. So great to see all those guys, kind of get their opportunity.
I know it makes you proud, Mac. And we also saw Jalen Rivers go in the fifth round, 153rd. He was so good when we had him on. So if you're a Bengals fan or just Miami fan, make sure you don't miss that episode that we put out. A few other guys that I want to kind of hit on, Mac, in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds. And if I miss anybody that you want to talk about, please throw it in there. Barrett Carter, who we've had on, of course, for Clemson fans. The first Clemson player taken, and not until the 4th round.
Yeah.
And only 3 Clemson players taken. Here's the way you look at it. Okay, obviously not the best draft for Clemson. But if you're a Clemson fan, you're thinking, yeah, because they're all still here. Yeah. So that's, of course, good news. But Barrett goes to the Bengals, 4th round. I think that's about where people thought he maybe probably more like a 3rd round guy. Yeah. But still, 4th round. I mean, there are guys who get drafted in the 4th round who play for years, Mac, in the NFL.
No question. I think that's a great thing that you just brought up. It obviously matters where you get drafted, right? There's more investment. The higher you're drafted, there's more of this has to work. Right. The later you're drafted, the more expendable things can become, the easier it is to move on. But it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, whether you're first round, undrafted free agent, signing, mini camp invite, you're there. You got an opportunity. You have an opportunity. What are you able to do with it? And obviously the drafted guy, there's a little bit more security there. You just need to get to camp and show off what you can do. Put your head down and grind for 2 months if you're one of those uncertain guys, if you're not going to be there or not, and just focus on it as hard as you can. And that's kind of where you start looking at these guys. So any opportunity is a great opportunity. Love Barrett going to the Bengals. Obviously, they have put a ton of money into the offensive side of the ball, and they're going to need young guys to step up because they're not going to be able to pay the defensive guys because they're paying all the offensive guys. So Barrett probably is going to get a big opportunity here. And again, you talk about where you go and how that matters. I mean, this is a team that is expecting to make a deep playoff run, a Super Bowl run with the amount of money that they're investing into their core offensive players. So that's fantastic, really for him. And, just kind of seeing that. And you're right, from a Clemson perspective, probably disappointed because you want guys, in the first round every year. You want guys, drafted all over the board. But it's very exciting because, as you mentioned, all those guys are back. And we just did a Clemson show. You guys will see this on ACC Network in the coming days and weeks. Clemson has the most production in the world coming back. And we were very excited talking about the Tigers and what they're going to look like this next season.
I also saw someone doing a projected mock for 2026, and I think it had 4 Clemson players in the first round.
Wow.
So
great.
That's a little crazy. And maybe they don't all leave. Who knows? All right, Mac, how about our guy, Kyle McCord?
Yeah.
6th round, 181st overall, going to the Philadelphia Eagles, basically hometown because he's from New Jersey area. And, you know, when you're drafted to a team like that, you're obviously going to be fighting for a number 2 or number 3 spot with Jalen Hurts. But you get to learn from Jalen Hurts. You get to go to a great organization. We talked with Will Shipley. We had him on our podcast talking post Super Bowl and just how much he's loved being a part of the Eagles and how they've helped him grow. So it seems like a good situation for McCord. I don't think Kyle thought he was going to go somewhere where he could truly, you know, compete for a starting job right away. 6th round, maybe a little low because he was getting some buzz, but I think it's a good situation.
I do too. And, you know, what we're kind of seeing, you know, a little bit of a trend from the NFL is they're not spending, you know, the earlier picks than the 5th, 6th, 7th round on developmental quarterbacks. There's not time. Like, and you need those positions for whatever. Now, certainly in the back of that, go get whoever you want. If you're the Browns, go get 3, 4, 5 of them, you know, one draft. Just take every quarterback.
So Browns.
One of them surely will work, right? You know,
they've been telling themselves that for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. They've gone through the most, like 40 quarterbacks in 20 years. I mean, it's bizarre to see what they've been able to do. But I love this fit. It's one of his favorite teams, or maybe his favorite team growing up. I've seen the kid pictures of him wearing the Donovan McNabb jersey back in the day. So that Syracuse to Philly connection. So what a dream come true to get that call, you know, from the Super Bowl champs, but also a team that you grew up loving and wanting to be a part of. And now you get to rock, you know, those colors, that city, and play for that organization.
It's really cool. And again, go listen to our Kyle episode. Shameless plug. All right, Mac, 2 guys I want to hit on here in the 7th round. 2 running backs, as someone may have just walked in the ACCN room as I'm seeing Mac do there. All right, what about 228th overall Bashard Smith from SMU to the Chiefs? The Chiefs actually traded up in the 7th round to get him. Yeah. They sent a couple picks to New England for pick 228. And the last time the Chiefs took a running back this late in the draft was Pacheco, who they use all the time. So the Chiefs seem to like to do this. They get kind of a lower round running back and they use him. So I think this is a good spot here for Bashard Smith.
No, it's a great spot. And again, timing wise, you wish you were taken earlier. A guy that was so productive, but he just had that 1 year.
Just the 1 year, yeah.
Maybe that was the knock. The teams just don't know what to do with him. But the Chiefs going to find something to do with him. And that's like, if you can think of a skill set of a player who can run it, catch it, whatever, get him on the Chiefs, they'll find that job. They'll figure out what's best for him and how best he wants to handle that. Love that situation for him. And again, you get to come in, learn, figure out what you're good at. And if it sticks, you got a great opportunity to win a bunch of games, to win championships, and to play with, who knows, maybe the best ever when it's all said and done. And Patrick Mahomes, certainly with Andy Reid calling the shots there. So that's super exciting. And then shortly after him, LaQuint Allen goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. 2 guys I thought would have went earlier. You know, LaQuint has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, is a nice-looking prospect. But, you know, whatever happens, but he's there. With Jacksonville, loaded room. You know, it's going to be interesting to see. You know, you're really fighting for spots. But there's also things to think about. You're getting film to go other places too. Like the NFL it rotates, opportunity happens. Who knows? I don't think LaQuint will probably be there long, just because, again, the stock that they have invested in other running backs on that team. But, you know, you're there and you got drafted. You got to hear that your name be called.
I think his size was probably an issue, but he is a great pass catcher, so that'll be interesting. And then in the 7th round, you also had Damian Martinez. A little earlier, go to the Seahawks, and then you had Phil Maffa go to the Cowboys. So it's like
just had a little ACC run.
Yeah, it was all these running backs. Did I miss anybody, Mac? I mean, we know from a Clemson perspective, Brenning still didn't get drafted. That was a little bit of a surprise. Yeah. But he signed undrafted free agent with the Chiefs. Yeah. I mean, there's so many names here. I know you got to go do some more television. But anybody that I missed?
Yeah, I think APR going to Philly is nice. I mean, just pass rusher century, right? Like they're going to load up on their guys. RJ Mickens to the Chargers. I really like that and thought that was, you know, kind of a good fit there. You mentioned Jalen Rivers earlier, going to the Cincinnati Bengals. Alec Aomanor going to the Titans there. So, Cam Ward going to have a couple of rookie pass catchers with him that'll be able to do his thing. And then Quincy Riley, I'd love, he's from South Carolina, seeing his mom post just how, happy they were. Everybody's crying. He's going to the Saints. Thought that was a really cool thing there as well. Last guy that he went maybe, I thought he could turn into a first rounder and then just didn't quite have the statistical season. But Ashton Gelati going in the third round to the Chiefs, they're going to love that because he's that bigger guy, a lot like Chris Smith. Put him at 3 technique, put him at defensive end, just let him be a war daddy. I think that's going to be a really good fit. I think Ashton is going to thoroughly enjoy playing for the Chiefs, being in that defense and being a guy that can really wreak some havoc.
I'm glad you brought him up because, going in the third round, maybe a little bit lower than we thought he would a couple years ago, but still a great spot. And I should mention, too, you mentioned the loaded running back room for the Jags. Bashal Tootin went in the 4th round to the Jags. So he probably has a better shot overall on that roster.
Right. I will say this before we get out here, if you had another topic there, too. Something that was a real theme to me, and it's not just ACC guys, it's everywhere. People, leaving X school to better their draft stock. They're leaving the school that believed in them, that gave them opportunity to get paid to go somewhere. I don't know why I did this. They got paid to go somewhere else, but to increase their drafts, which we know is not true. And yet those guys didn't get drafted. And you have guys like Jonas Sanker who stayed, who believed, who went there, get drafted in the 3rd round for a place of Virginia. I love that story. I think that it's one of those things, grass ain't always greener. Just focus on your development, focus on who you are. That's a big time piece that I thought was pretty relevant, when you kind of see that. Yeah,
I think Omari Hampton, Donovan Ezaraku are a couple great examples of that as well, Max. So completely agree. Before we get out of here, because you need to go do TV, our summer guest series starts next week. And we have a very special guest, really excited, big college football guy that if you're a college football fan, you know him. You know who he is. Oh, you just saw him, Mac.
Well, I just walked by.
Oh, did he? Okay. But stay tuned for that. Summer guest series starts next week. It's about to be May. It's going to be May. And so we can't wait. Plus, we've got a special announcement coming up pretty quickly regarding our 500th episode. So stay tuned.
It's been a crazy ride. I can't believe 500's right here. Thank you guys for tuning in always. It's crazy that we're about to start Summer Guests. But lock in, subscribe, comment, tell us who you like. Tell us what you like about the guest on. And it's going to be a fun journey. We can't wait. So appreciate you guys always. But until next time, we'll see y'all.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.